Greetings, shepherds in Lapsley. This is Dan Stevens with news and notes from around the presbytery. Many of you may have come across the writings of Viktor Frankl at some point in the past. Viktor Frankl was a survivor of concentration camps during World War II, and he wrote quite a bit about the meaning that he was able to find in life, in part through the suffering that he experienced. One of the things that Viktor Frankl said is that a person who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how. A person who has a purpose in life can bear with almost any means of getting to that purpose, no matter how difficult it may be. I think about what Viktor Frankl said sometimes when I'm thinking about the future of our denomination and when I'm working with our various congregations around the presbytery. I think about Dr. Frankl's words when I encounter situations where it seems just so difficult for us to learn how to do evangelism and to share the gospel across all sorts of lines that may typically divide us. Generational lines, personal history lines where someone grew up with different feelings and understandings about religion than we did. Racial lines, economic lines, educational lines, lines in our neighborhoods where neighborhoods have changed around our churches and we haven't yet been able to reach these folks who are now all around our church building but weren't the original people who founded the church. These are challenging things to do. And I remember Viktor Frankl's words, a person who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how. What I would suggest is that a church that has a why to live for can bear with almost any how. A church that knows that its purpose is to proclaim the saving grace of God in the life, death, resurrection, and spirit of Christ can bear with almost any how to share that good news with the people in the community and to embody it through that church. I really believe that. You know, Viktor Frankl said something else, and I'll read this one to you because it's a little bit longer quote, but it's just as good. What people actually need is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of them. What a person needs is not the discharge of tension at any cost, but the call of a potential meaning waiting to be fulfilled by him or her. What a person needs is that calling that's worthy of the work and the tension of life. What a church needs is a calling that is worthy of the work and the tension that it takes to be able to proclaim the good news in our current environment. I think about that too when I see different conflicts in our denomination. Many of you probably saw the so-called white paper that was issued by a group of folks and signed by a number of pastors of large churches around the country calling for radical transformation in our denomination and leading some to believe that they may actually split off from us. I get frustrated when we get into these battles because sometimes I think there are just so many more important things we could be doing. But I also remember that we're not ultimately striving for a life without tension, or we don't need to be striving for a life without tension. In fact, we need to be striving in struggles that are worthy of the gift of human life and the calling that God has issued to each of us as individuals and to all of us as a church. The struggle and the strife of seeking to fulfill this calling are part of the gift of meaning in life that God has given to us and to the church in Christ. If we have a why to live for and to work for, we can bear with almost any how. May God be with you this week and always.